have to be here on this morning. I know so many people were out with us on last night, but again, I did ask you to still press your way and sacrifice and be here on time. And many of you did do that, so I appreciate you, but reach out to those others and let them know they've got to get here to be able to receive what God is saying so we can move in lockstep, be one sound and one band, and make sure that we all have the new grace that God is releasing for this new space we're in. Say, there is a new grace for the new space that God has placed us in. And it's going to be imperative that you get it, because if you don't have this grace in this particular space, you're going to be out of place. And I don't mean to rhyme at this time, but look at somebody and say, if you don't have this grace for this new space, you're going to be out of place. I don't mean to rhyme at this time. All right. Listen, turn with me to Isaiah 43 and verse 19, familiar passage of scripture. And just to give you the Cliff Notes version, when you read this particular text, generally, we use it as some type of substratum to be a foundational basis for the subject matter of renewal or doing something new or doing something over, because the scripture says, behold or look, I will do a new thing. Shall you not know it? I even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. Now, the prophet Isaiah is prophesying to Judah, the pre-exilic Judah, who's going to go into captivity the same way Israel is presently in captivity. But he speaks to Judah, but he gives a concerted message to the entire nation of Israel. We don't understand why you hear many times scholars, preachers in the Bible itself speak of Judah and Israel as being separate, except, and let me say it this way, and not as one people. It is because there's something that happened at some point in the nation of Israel where the kingdoms were divided into two kingdoms. There was the southern kingdom and there was the northern kingdom. The northern kingdom was called Israel and the southern kingdom was called Judah. Now, you have to understand that both of them experienced captivity. One experienced captivity at the hands of the Babylonians, and the other experienced captivity at the hands of the Assyrians. But they were both brought into exile at some point. Isaiah sees prophetically in the future what God's going to do for both Israel and Judah, but he's talking to Judah. He's talking to the tribe of praise. He's talking to the kingdom of praise, and he's trying to get them not to understand there's something new that's about to happen. He's trying to get them to have a new outlook before something happens. Does that make sense? Because if you can start to see things differently now, you'll be able to maintain before God changes things. And sometimes our problem is our perspective and our perception is so warped until we faint before we get to the finish line. And so God's trying to get them to see through the prophet that brighter days are ahead of you. Would you look at somebody and tell them that brighter days are ahead of you? Would you lay hands on yourself and say, brighter days are ahead of me? And so he wants them to understand that times will not always be like this. I don't know who that word is for. It won't look like this always. If you can just hold on and stop letting the situation determine your outlook and let your outlook determine the situation, eventually you're going to get through this. And so the prophet prophesies to them that something else is going to happen. And I believe if we could coin this through modern vernacular, it would be apropos to call this the reset. Someone say the reset. And I believe that's what God's about to do in this ministry. You see so many moving parts. You see God doing things, and you see him augmenting and transmogrifying people and positions and auxiliaries and agendas and focuses and missions. And we've even done it to our vision overall for the church, because there is a supernatural reset that's happening. Let me prophesy to you real quick, because it can't happen in God's house and not happen at your house. It can't happen in here without you mobilely taking it out there. Someone say, God's hitting the reset for me. Say, things won't always look like this for me. Now, before we delve into this reset that will ultimately reshapen our church and you individually, I need you to do something for me. I want you to get a piece of paper. As a matter of fact, administration, can we hand them something to write on? Maybe a note card, a sticky note, a piece of paper, or something. Who needs something to write on and something to write with? I know we live in the electronic age. I understand. And if you want to use your phones, that's fine too. But I want everybody writing something for me. Everybody, let me know when you have been served. So again, anybody that wants to use your phone, that's fine. That's fine. I'm gonna tell you this though. True story. True story. Something happened to me the other day. Because y'all know I am all for technology. I'm a technology bug. I had to write the other day, and I forgot how to write the letter U. I did. I promise you I did. And I sat there just feeling dumb as a box of rocks. And I realized that I had to start shifting back and forward, because technology is dumbing me down, because everything's so automated. I don't even have to spell the word right anymore. It'll correct me. And so I'm saying that not to make you feel bad for using your devices, because again, use them. But I promise you, you need to just switch back and forward, because this artificial intelligence can easily nullify your intelligence. So be very, very careful, very, very careful. And let me say this too, it's supposed to enhance your intelligence. You didn't catch it. So if you're not seeking to enhance your own intelligence, artificial intelligence will make you look and sound dumb. You have to bring a degree of intelligence to it. And it's supposed to work as a buddy with you to help enhance you. Does that make sense? Okay, y'all got so quiet like you think I'm trying to name call or something. But I'm really trying to help you. I promise you. If you take that, it's going to help you. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to write this. If you could hit the reset button on any area of your leadership, number one, what would it be and why? Do I need to break those questions down, or you get it? Anybody? Say it again, daughter. Yes, if you could hit the reset button on any area of your leadership, what would it be and why? There are two more portions to this question, four-part question. Let me know when you're ready for the third part. Can I go ahead? Would you want to lead you? Would you want you leading you? Here's the last portion of the question. You're the young adult pastor and wife, we lead from the front. Okay. Here is the second portion of the question. Y'all help them out. They came, y'all be friends to each other. Nice. Second portion, again, would you want to lead you? Would you want you leading you? Second portion of the question is, would you want to be like you if you were leading you? And I want you to be very real. So the questions, guys, again, if you could hit the reset button on any area of your leadership, what would it be? First question. Why? Second question. Third question, would you want you leading you? And the last question, would you want to be like you if you were leading? And there's no specific time limit on when you should finish or how lengthy this should be. I would love for me not to have to call upon people. You just volunteer, stand up and transparently share what you've written about. Didn't know that was too good to be true. I thought she was standing up. Go ahead. Should have known. Hold 1 second. They're getting the microphone. Danny, get that from Sean and serve the people. Thank you. Danny, and let Sean walk with the mics. Danny has to, who needs to. Now he don't want to move fast. Thank you.
Okay, thanks again, Bishop. Didn't write anything down, but I have it. Okay, so the first question was, if I could hit the reset button, what would it be? Well, the first thing would be my prayer life and my financial stability. I think do you want me to kind of, okay. So reason why my prayer life is so important to me, I want to be able to pray and hear God. I know a lot of us, we pray so much, but we don't sit back and just listen to what he has to say. We just pray and ask. And
so are these areas that govern your leadership on how people can follow you? Because that's what I'm asking as a leader. And guys, remember this, even if you don't have a title, you are a leader in some regard. Somebody's watching you and somebody's following you, even when it's unbeknownst to you. Okay. Which means all of us have to answer for our influence, because you're influencing somebody by how you act. So I'm not talking necessarily about the personal things about you that you want to change that's private, but about something that's publicly projected that could affect others who will follow your example. Does that make sense?
Okay. So yes, definitely. So as you know, I work at Sam's Club, so they watch you. Like your leader, my leadership watches me. So there are people that just got there that are looking to see how is he moving, how is he working. Yes, definitely you need prayer for that, because you don't want to lead them wrong. You don't want to be blind leading the blind, because they don't know, and you don't want them to look at you like you don't know, and you just be looking, looking crazy out there. So the next thing was my financial stability. I don't want people to see me, my peers look at me spending money on all this stuff, but still don't really have anything. So
Gotcha.
definitely.
You worked that in there, man. You did. You a preacher for real. Because you worked it. Anyone else? Anyone else? Elder DeShaver.
Okay, good morning, everybody. So the first one, if I could hit the reset button on any area of my leadership, what area would it be? I said going back to the beginning, like the beginning of me being a leader, I would be more intentional about consistency and presentation. And in certain areas of my leadership, I would, if I can go back, I would develop a plan before I do anything. And so the second one, would you want to lead you? I honestly, sometimes I can be good as a person, and sometimes I'm not as consistent. So on them times when I'm not consistent, would I want to lead me? No, I may not be as dependable if my leader, needed something or expected me, because I can be inconsistent. When I'm good, but if I'm not here, I'm not. And so thirdly, would you want to be like you if you were leading you? And honestly, I say yes. I would want to be how I am, but better, because not everything is bad with me as a leader, but I do have some areas that I would want to work on. So I wouldn't want anybody to pick up that part, but the other part.
So I want you to just hear this, because I'm in no wise refuting what you're saying. I'm just trying to get you to reflect upon what you actually contradicted, because you said, I would want them to be like me, but not exactly like you. So either you want them to be like you or you don't, because they can't have part of it.
Yes, they could be like me, because it could be worked on.
Okay, so you want them to be inconsistent.
Yes, I would say yes. My answer is yes, because
You want them to be inconsistent.
yeah, no, I want them to
You
lead.
sound like you at catechism. You want them to be inconsistent. Let it go. Let it go.
Then my answer is both.
Can't be both. So what I'm gonna do is be your spiritual father and say, no, I'm gonna help you out on this. But I understand. I understand. I get it.
Thank you, Bishop.
And thank you for your transparency. Anybody else?
Can I share?
Well, honestly, before Lintrell and Bennett, it was actually a Christian. Didn't you have you? Christian what? Oh, you said no? You changed your mind? Okay. All right. Okay, so it was actually Lintrell before you, Bennett.
So if I could hit the reset button on any area of my leadership, it would be actually the perception of myself, because I am the harshest critic of myself. I don't often think I do a good job, but others believe that I do. Would you want to lead you? Yes, because I'm always open to feedback and constructive criticism. And would you like to be you if you were leading you? Yes, but I'd have to have more confidence in my leadership ability.
Don't be like I just want y'all to hear what y'all saying. Because every time you put a but or you put an addendum,
Okay, so let me rephrase it. Yes, having more confidence in my leadership ability. Check out the but.
or you just said it a different way and tried to use a Jedi mind trick, like I ain't hear you just say it the same thing in a different way. Okay, got it. All right. Okay, got it. That's your wife trouble. I understand, George.
What I would hit the reset button on would be my timeliness. Why I would do that is because if I'm going to be a leader, you say lead from the front, and timeliness is a part of leading from the front, and it's a part of your character. Would you want to lead you? No. Would you want to be like you? No.
Oh. And believe it or not, guys, and I'm saying I'm not being facetious, but because that was so transparent. So I wow. Go ahead, girl. That's leading right there. That's leading. Thank you.
All right. What will it be if I reset? I would love to be more informed about my job or my ministry. Why? Because to do an excellent job for God, you need to know what you're doing. Would you want would you want you to lead you? No. Not in that
Pastor,
aspect.
come get the mic from mom.
Not in that aspect.
Come get the mic from mom. Then outled everybody in the church for the last 25 years. Lord have mercy. Go ahead, go ahead.
Would you want to be like you if he
Yes.
was leading you?
No questions, yes.
To a degree.
Thank you, brother. I'll do one more and I have to move on, guys. I have to move on.
Oh, I had one. I said, if I could hit the reset button, it would be not establishing a certain standard because of operating in the lack of confidence and timidity. I would lead me because of my heart to serve and my willingness to serve as I get better. And I want to be like the becoming me as I grow.
Love it. Love it. Go ahead, Phoenix. I saw your hand up at the same time. Go ahead.
If I could change anything about my leadership, what area would it be? As Elder DeShayla said, I would go back to the basis. I would start from the very beginning, change everything except my giving. I would change everything except my giving, because I definitely haven't been consistent in my leadership as far as evangelism is concerned. Very untimely with getting notifications out in Ring Central in a timely fashion. I wouldn't want nobody to, I mean, what's the second question there?
I think I just answered all of them with that question.
Yeah.
Thank you, son. I appreciate you.
Bishop, we have some virtual that would like to participate.
No, it's on before here. No, go ahead. I'm just teasing. Go ahead.
Good morning, Dad and family. Can you hear?
So Jamarcia says consistency because I can't lead being inconsistent. And first question was no, or the second question was no, and then the third question was no.
All right. Thank you, son. I appreciate you. Even though Christian called you Jamarcia. Is there anybody else? Like we at home.
Can you hear?
Anybody else? From virtual?
Can you hear?
Pastor YJ said managing personalities. Oh, I thought that's what you put. I'm sorry. It said leadership. I apologize. That's all for ritual.
Is it another YJ? I'm serious. I'm at.
I said Pastor YJ. Pastor Yolanda
She don't
Jackson.
get it, does she?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm saying because she's sitting right here.
That's Dr. Pam. Dr. Pam said, Dr. Pam said, managing personalities, so that I may be more effective to the team and assist them with being effective. To the first question, no, because I'm a perfectionist. And to the second question, I would want to be like me. That was all.
Thank you, daughter. And we miss you. And thank you for being consistent and faithful, even during your convalescing. Give God praise for her. Listen, family, I want you to write a few things down really quickly. The first thing I want you to write is that you hold the reset button. It's not a question of can you hit it. It's a question of will you. You hold it. And so everything you may have written privately about yourself, even those of you who didn't profess it publicly, you can reset it. By the mere fact that you're cognizant of it shows you have the ability to correct it. The question is, do you want to correct it bad enough? Or will you continue to operate in dysfunction and ultimately act like it is normalcy? Because if you're not careful, dysfunction will become normalcy. I said this on last night. Dysfunction is abnormality disguised as normalcy. And it's easy to be dysfunctional when you are plugged into a dysfunctional system that doesn't challenge your dysfunction. When you're around people who are like you. When you have to congregate with people who will not tell you the truth about you. All you see is people who mirror yourself. And now you begin to feel like being the way you are is the way you have to be. And then what we do to feel good about ourselves, because sometimes we ego trip, is we start trying to juxtapose what we do right as opposed to what we do wrong. What we are doing as opposed to what we omit. And again, all we're doing is becoming more and more comfortable in mediocrity and dysfunction. Here is what I want you to understand. God knew the real you before he decided to use you. He knew all of your quirks. He knew everything about you. And he understood it was manageable. He knew you were salvageable. But he also understood that if you were going to make some advancements, you had to be willing to make some adjustments. I don't care how much you pray, and I know this is going to sound sacrilegious, change will not come by praying. Change comes by performing. Because after you get off your knees, everything is going to be the same until you produce a corresponding action. Because faith without works is dead. You got to do something, and you got to crave it so bad that you're willing to make it systematic. Here is what I've been saying for so long, and I want you to get it on today. If you do not develop a strategy, you will not find victory. Say this with me. I need a strategy if I'm going to find victory over the things that hinder me. Now, here is what I want you to write down, though. This is important. Strategy produces a system. And a system that's birthed through a strategy creates consistency. Strategy produces a system. And a system that's birthed through strategy creates consistency. In essence, family, to break it down in layman's terms, the reason I'm not consistent is because I keep just wanting to try at doing. But I don't come up with a plan, Deshalia, on how to get it done. I think that was you talked about a plan, right? On how to get it done. Our plan, Caitlin, is our strategy. And I got to commit to the plan. And I got to do the plan so even when I don't want to do it until it becomes systematic. Y'all know my claim to fame. I use this every time. And you probably think I just throw it up arrogantly, but I say it because it's a struggle. I get up at 3 o'clock and no matter what, I got up at 3 o'clock this morning, no matter what time I go to bed. And y'all know we had to go to bed late last night. I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I force myself to do it because that's my strategy. And it has become a system for me. And that's why I'm consistent at getting it done. What strategy do you have in your life that has created a system for you that creates consistency for you to become a better version of you? Or are you just constantly thinking about, I want to be better, but never putting plans in place to get better? And family, if you don't do that, you will always dream of better, but you'll never see better. And that applies to every area of your life. You have to prepare for what you've prayed for. Write this down. You will never become better at being you until you start believing in you. You will never become better at being you until you start believing in you. And part of our problems with believing in ourselves is we know so much negative stuff about us. And the reason you can believe in me so greatly is because I only show you the good. But behind closed doors, I know my faults. I know my failures. So I'm looking through stained lenses. But the one thing you need to learn to reflect upon is God knows the entire you, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And he still says he has plans for you. So if he could know me in my entirety and still believe in me, the least I can do is partner with him in my belief. Does that make sense? And have the confidence to fulfill my calling. Write this down for me. Confidence is not arrogance. It's agreeing with what God said about you. Confidence is not arrogance. It's agreeing with what God has said about you. Here's the antithesis. When I don't have confidence, I'm saying God has lied about me. Does that make sense? Yes, it doesn't. Okay. Here's the next thing I want you to write. Confidence grows only in a certain type of soil. And it can only be watered through a certain type of irrigation. I'm going to say it again. Confidence grows in a certain type of soil. And it can only be watered through a certain type of irrigation. Do I need to say it again? Confidence grows only in a certain type of soil. In parentheses, put the soil of preparation. And it can only be watered through a certain type of irrigation. Put the irrigation of prayer. Confidence grows in the soil of preparation and the water of prayer. But let's talk about the antithesis of confidence, because here is where many of us find ourselves settling and building houses. Mediocrity. You've heard this word so much in this season, mantles, because God's dropping mantles. Mediocrity is the silent killer of mantles. And it hides under a phrase called good enough. Mediocrity is the silent killer of mantles, and it hides under a phrase called good enough. Let me give you another synonym for mediocrity: decency. Because you can't walk in dominion and settle for decency. Let me give you another synonym for mediocrity: average. You can't walk in power and authority and be average. You've got to want to be the very best that you can be. Last but not least, write this down. Every time you tolerate mediocrity as a leader, you teach the people around you that average is acceptable. Every time you walk in mediocrity as a leader, you teach the people around you that mediocrity is acceptable, which is why I try to lead from the front. And I try my very best, and I don't always succeed, to be polished in every area at every particular juncture, because I know I'm leading, and you're going to take your cues to some degree from me. Now let's look at this. I want to move further really quickly. Do I need to repeat anything? Let's look at our vision statement as we reset. The vision statement reads as follows: we are impacting the world. What? We're building a culture of what? We're continually seeking ways to do what? You can read it if you ain't got to be talking about, it's the morning to me in the morning, mint mom in it. To improve what? Our, and what? Okay, now, I don't want you to think this is a rebranding moment, because it's not. We're not rebranding, we're recommitting. Because what we have is good. What we have works. The problem is we don't consistently work it. And so we're recommitting to working what works. We're not tweaking the cosmetics of it. We're confronting the core of the culture. Because what happens with vision is that when culture becomes contaminated, vision becomes ineffective. And culture is not vision, because vision is what we're doing projectively. Culture is who we are. And who we are can contaminate and ultimately paralyze what we do, because we don't have the right environment to produce the right results. Does that make sense? Yes, it doesn't. And so when we relaunch, we are refocusing and we are realigning, and ultimately we are resetting. Someone say, as we relaunch, we are refocusing, we are realigning, and ultimately we are resetting. Now, here's what I want you to see. Write down Matthew 28, 19, and 20. Here's what I want you to say. Regardless of the multiplicity of things we do through the church, and the church has to be a birthing center, particularly in the 21st century. It has to be a multi-purpose center. It has to be a place that not only deals with spiritual issues, psychological issues, emotional issues, physical issues, financial issues, social issues, political issues. We have to have a missiological mindset in this particular day and time, because we have to do something that ultimately causes us not to be insulated within the four walls. That's the new church. The new church has been so transmogrified until the neo, say the neo church. Neo means new. The neo church has become so transmogrified until the pastor in many churches is no longer called the pastor, they're called the lead servant. It's become so augmented until there's no longer a pastor's study. It's a pastor's office, because he or she is now viewed almost as a hybrid type of person who is not only a leader in the spiritual realm, but also a corporate leader in the secular simultaneously. Does that make sense? Which also means that you, to some degree, must bear that burden as well. And you have to know how to stand between two worlds, speak two different types of languages, be an executive while you're being discipled. Which is why it's going to be important that you don't check your email once every other day. Who am I helping? And the reason I know you can do it is because you don't miss nothing on social media, but you late on checking emails. You know why? Because you have not shifted your mind. And for those of us, and let me say this without y'all judging me, for those of us that can't shift our mind to executive status, we may be relegated to forever be at blue collar status. I said this last night. The man that knows their job, works hard, shows up on time, the first one to get it done will always have a job. Isn't that a blessing? But the man that knows why it's done, that knows how to do it, but knows how to delegate people to do it, and knows how to keep producing something better to be done, will always be the man with the money. Story is told of a man that walked outside and saw a man admiring his brand new Lamborghini. He said, "You like my car?" He said, "Man, I love this car. This is my dream car." He said, "Your dream car?" He said, "Yes, I was wondering whose car it is." He said, "It's my car." He said, "Wow." He said, "I tell you what, I've worked hard for this car, but here's the thing. If you work hard, let's just say another 2 or 3 years, the way you've been working, I'll buy me another one." Because he was the owner of the business. And if you don't change your mindset This is bigger than just a job. This is bigger than talking about something in the marketplace. If you don't change your mindset, you may be relegated to always playing second fiddle to somebody because you can never see yourself greater than yourself. Go ahead, son. One second, everybody else can hear.
I'm glad you said that because I struggle with, even with my team with work, I know the why. So they are extremely impressed with me, but I want to be a better leader to the people, not under me, but the people that I work with. And so I find myself not as available, but I'm like, hey, if y'all just get what they're trying to give us, we will. So how do I have the balance of those two? My mindset has shifted executively. I know the why, so I'm not going to work hard. And so I'm trying to get them to that, but they ain't grabbing it. So how do I balance the two? Because I'm not as aggressive with them as I should be.
So and good question. And it's a prophetic question because, guys, for the sake of time, write this down. You didn't know this, but here is where I was leading y'all. We have to reclaim the why. That's actually where I was leading y'all. That was prophetic. But let me say this to you. You're in a unique position because you're not only operating in marketplace, you're operating in ministry. And many times ministry concepts and characteristics are taboo in the marketplace. I would advise you to bring the same concepts in the ministry over into the marketplace. And this is what I do to help grow the people around me, particularly my pastoring sons and daughters. I don't hide anything from them. I don't refrain from giving them anything. I give them all of me, which means I'm not trying to simply give birth to leaders. I'm trying to disciple through DNA. Does that make sense? Which is why I'm so liberal to show preachers, even in the house, how I study, which is why I'm constantly giving you an information dump, because I want you to be in my mind. The problem many times is we think leadership is hiding what I know and giving you bits and pieces to manage you so you can continue to walk behind me. True leadership is emptying myself into you to force me to have to go get a better version, become a better version of me so you can become a better version of you. But sometimes I want you to know what I tell you and not what I know. But if I can find a way to balance my getting better with making you better, I'll begin to see a reflection of me in you through DNA being deposited into you. Does that make sense? And so that's what I would advise. I mean, give them everything and stay hungry. There's a book I want to encourage every leader to get. It's called the 3H. Be hungry, hustle, and stay humble. And when you create that hunger within you and you never, ever satisfy it, you will constantly evolve. Every day I'm doing something and producing something to better people around me, but to also force me to become a better version of me. And that's what I encourage. And I promise you, when you do that, you will see them not only buy into your leadership more, but they'll start protecting you. Because y'all know what I've said since day one, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And sometimes that care is seen in what you're willing to share with them. Sharing is caring and caring is sharing. That makes sense? Okay. Anybody else? And be hungry, hustle, and always be humble. Thank you. Yeah. I get it for you though. I get it for you. Jackson, if you can look somewhere on the, or Dr. Pam, somewhere on the IFOC list, we maybe 2 years ago, I think maybe, that was one of our books. I may have it in my phone too. I should have it. So any other questions while I look for this? Go ahead, daughter.
Brad Lomenick.
Who is it?
Brad Lomenick, Lomenick.
Brad Lomenick. Thank you.
When you have a team and you empty yourself into your team, but they don't do anything with the information that you're giving them, do you rebuild? Like, do you just throw those people to the side, or do you work with them until?
That's a good question. It's a complex answer though, because some people are salvageable and others don't want to be any better. But I promise you this, there is a concept, y'all get this concept, and I'm gonna come back to this, okay? There is a concept that I use with pastors all of the time who have a tendency to get distracted by those who are against them. I tell them, feed the sheep and the goats will starve. And so likewise in your leadership, those that want to follow, let them follow you. Because what's going to happen is you're going to create a culture of fellowship. And it's going to cause those who are not followers to become so ostracized until they'll remove themselves. Make sense? Yeah. So focus on those that want it. Anybody else? Okay. So here is what we have to do in the ministry. We have to reclaim our why. What is your why? We understand in a general sense, our why as a church is Matthew 28:19-20. Go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptizing them, making them disciples. We understand that. But what is your particular why for what you do here? It's rhetorical. You don't have to say it. What is your why? Because pastor asked you? Because you feel convicted? Because you feel obligated? Because somebody put you there? Or do you really believe this is a part of your purpose and what you're called to do? I want you to write this acronym down for why. Here is why you got to have a why. Why stands for whatever holds you. Your why keeps you in place. Your why becomes your reflection. So you can look back upon, and stay cemented and rooted in what you're doing. It becomes your reflection point. Again, so you can look back on it and stay rooted and cemented in what you're doing. So we have to reclaim our why again. Why are we Impact Church? Good name? Is it a designation? Or is it a description? Again, is it a designation? Impact or a description? Who knows what impact stands for? And it's okay, because some of you didn't know it meant something. Innovative ministries productively addressing current times. The very label we have speaks to what we're supposed to always be doing, which also means if it's status quo, if it's religious, if it's something being done because it's always been done, we have operated outside of the premise of impact. We should always be looking for reasons to disrupt something. Go ahead. Innovative ministries productively addressing current times. So to give you the answer to the question, impact is not a designation of who we are. It's a description of who we are and what we do. We address the current times. We deal with where people are dealing with, and we go where they are. Does that make sense? Now, the second thing I want you to write is, if we're going to reclaim the why, we have to reconnect with our I codes. Man, and this is so imperative, because does anybody know the purpose of the I code? And it's okay if you do not, but if you do, I'd like to hear it. Say it again, son. Give him the mic.
To build or keep the culture.
To build or keep the culture. Our I codes are designed to create a culture and sustain it. Okay? And if we would follow them, we would produce the kind of culture that would provoke change in people. Can someone give me an I code? What else are we? 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 Family church, that's right. Marketplace church, okay? Now let me ask you this question. do you consistently embody the I code? Because you have to remember, you are the church. You are the individual churches that make up this collective church called Impact. Are you exuding, exemplifying, and embodying the I codes? Yes or no? Anybody? No takers? What's that?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Anybody else? And this is how simple it was, yes or no? I wasn't going to put you on trial.
Hello, Bishop. I believe I am because being a part of Impact, when I say the name Impact or tell people that I'm from Impact, I have to already in advance and show them that I'm a loving person.
Wow.
And so missional things, feeding the hungry, nobody got to know, doing stuff on the side, that's missional. Ministry is being a part, being accountable. I'm going to tell my leaders when I can't come, I'm going to tell my leaders what's going on with me. So
Right.
that's in it. And marketplace is the ideas and the things that's put before us. Are we actually on there studying and Googling and trying to find out about it? So
Wow.
I would say that I am embodying it.
Great answer. Come on, give God praise for the deal. Great answer. Great answer. So to be a loving church, write this down. I have to profess and practice the love of God. We call it LOL, love out loud. But see, here's the truth of the matter. You could be a loving person, but can I tell you how your love can be misconstrued or even contaminated if you don't know how to manage your emotions? Because you bring your feelings in here, and now when I interact with you, I can't get to loving you because you are out of love with yourself at the moment. And now, though it had nothing to do with me, it has affected me because you ain't being you. Does that make sense? Why do I have to know you got a problem? I'm gonna say something heavy now, particularly since I can't solve it. I'm gonna tell you why. Sometimes it's even deeper than simply not being able to manage your emotions. It's looking for attention. I need people to know I'm going through. Because here is the thing, I understand the average person really don't care. I don't mean no harm, really, seriously. I mean, because, you know, the truth of the matter is when you tell folk about your problem, they be like, me too. Me too. I mean, what you want me to do? Does it make sense? Does it make sense? So watch this. I know I got to take it to God. He's the one that's going to deal with it. But here's the problem. I can't see him. If I could see him and I could see him look at me like, oh, my child, that would make me feel better. So I need something tangible because I'm not really ready to deal with the real problem, and the real problem is me. Does that make sense? So we got to practice the love of God at all times. You will never know when I'm having my worst days, because most times it's when I'm standing up here, down here, or out there and laughing and hugging you. But I know what I'm dealing with has nothing to do with you, so why should I take it out on you? You're expecting me to be me at all times. Can people count on you to be you at all times? That's the question. Innocent walking here like he ain't late. But then we are word church. We preach. Write this down, guys. We teach and we model the word. Because I know you people gonna think, well, I'm not no preacher, no teacher, but you're a model. People should see the word of God. Paul said, you are a living epistle. Sometimes you're the only Bible people will ever read. We preach and we teach and we model the word. But then we're praying church. We pray consistently and collectively. And it's a shame some of y'all don't get on the prayer call until you're on schedule. But can I tell y'all something though? on a serious note, because I know some of y'all, you just can't wake up that early, and that's a problem. If you can't break up with sleep, you'll never find riches. Ooh, I said something you didn't like. If you can't learn to get up early, you will never find success like you want. Because success is not a night owl, it's an early bird. Oh, she yawned when I said that. Ain't that a mess? Oh God, okay. Did y'all hear me? And so, family, we've got to learn to be more intentional. Now, here is why I don't force y'all to go on the prayer call. I know some of y'all be waiting for me to do it. If I got to force you to pray, to talk to the one you say who saved you, do you know how ignorant that sounds? If I have to force you to pray, the problem is bigger than a prayer call. You have a spiritual disconnect. Okay, we can move on. Family church. We build strong marriages, godly children, and healthy homes, and we create a family affair. What are you doing to project a healthy marriage, a strong marriage, godly children, and healthy homes? What are you doing to project that this is a family affair? Or do you just wait, do your job, hurry up and get out of here because you said you don't want to talk to nobody because everybody misses? Don't call me, don't put me on that list, do not text me, don't do any of that. I want to help you with something. I just shared this yesterday. I think I was talking to y'all. I'm mature enough to understand something about church that some of you probably will never really be able to fully grasp. And you're going to send me to hell with this one. I'm good though. Church ain't about coming here to meet God. Hi, doctor. Church is not about, we don't come here to meet God. We don't. He's omnipresent. We come in to meet each other. Let me prove it to you. I got saved outside of church. Do y'all hear me? In fact, I didn't tell y'all this portion. I got delivered outside of church. I got saved at my kitchen table on Thanksgiving. My mama led me through the prayer of repentance. I got delivered in a hotel room from drugs and alcohol. I got filled with the Holy Ghost in my bathroom when I was looking at Oral Roberts on TV talking about the Holy Ghost. And I got called to preach driving down the street in my car. None of it happened in church because I didn't need to be here for that. I needed to be here for you so I can know there are like-minded people going through what I go through and I don't have to blow my brains out. But since I come here and be standoffish and don't try to get to know each other, look at outward things that people are doing and automatically judge them and don't want to deal with them, now I'm in an isolated place of trouble where I feel like there's no hope for me because I don't understand why I'm here. I come here so I can know there is hope by looking at you. And if I see you struggling in what I'm struggling in, I should throw you a lifeline because I've known how to get out of it. That's why the only payment Peter was required to pay when he was delivered is strengthen your brothers. But instead of strengthening our brothers, we strip our brothers. We don't like our sisters. We talk about each other. We text about each other because you forgot why you're here. Look at your neighbor and say, I'm here for you. You know that, right? Find another person and say, you do know I'm only here because you here. Does that make sense, guys? But we are a missional church. We evangelize both conventionally and unconventionally. And we do holistic ministry. I was at the doctor's office the other day, and I saw this woman tripping real bad. So, you know, guys, they have this sign, and the sign says, stay behind here until they call you. So There's nobody at the counter, but I'm gonna stay behind it. And plus she's a sister, so you don't know how this gonna go. So I don't mean no harm. I don't mean no harm. I'm behind the line. And she said, come on. And so, doctor, next visit. I said, is everything okay? You seem to be having a bad day. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I watch this. I didn't know you could tell. I didn't feed into any of that. I said, I'm so sorry your day is so wrong, so bad. Can I pray for you? And she went into tears. I said, and I'm believing God, your day is going to get better. Another instance, I'm at Albertsons. Oh, I got handled so bad at Albertsons. I just want a pound of turkey. I just want a pound of turkey. What else? Just a pound of turkey. That's all I want. No, ma'am. I don't want that one. I want that. Well, you know this is gonna be more expensive. I know it. I get it all the time. And I mean, she's handling me so bad. And when it was over, I said, ma'am, you seem to be having a bad day today. Here's $20. Go have lunch on me, and I hope the day gets better. I'm praying for you. She broke down in tears. That's unconventional evangelism. That's be in the church. And I'm not saying you got to always do that, but you can do something, and you don't always have to react to people's foolishness. You can ultimately equalize the situation and evangelize the situation by being like Jesus. Does that make sense? And so, family, write this down. You can't carry a culture that you don't live personally. You can't carry a culture that you don't live personally, which simply means this. We can quote all this loving and word and praying and family and mission and worshiping, but if you don't do this stuff outside of here, we'll never be effective in doing this stuff in here. And so the second thing we're going to do I need to say it one more time, guys? You can't carry a culture you don't live personally. Second thing we're going to do is realign the culture. Write down Romans 12:2. Romans 12:2. You guys know it. Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. I believe many of you know this, but unconsciously, we many times, it's going to sound so contradictory, remain ignorant of this. Because there are times I have to check myself and bring myself back into balance. That your brain is not your mind. See? Yeah, some of y'all look. Your brain is not your mind. Your brain is how you perceive carnal things, information, things humanistically. But your mind is how you receive and process supernatural things, thoughts, downloads, and concepts that come from a loftier place than down. Because your brain can only regenerate what it has received. But your mind is something different. Your brain can be renewed, but your mind can't. Your brain can only hold so much, but your mind is inexhaustible, which is why you have to renew it. And let me tell you something else about your mind. Now, again, you don't get it twisted. When your brain is dead, you dead. Okay? Your brain is very your brain is very important. I took it myself. Your brain is very important because your brain is your amygdala is connected to your entire nervous system. Hear me clearly. So everything you do with movement, believe it or not, comes from the brain. Your information, your thought process, your memory, all of that, your prefrontal cortex, all of that, brain. So it's good. It's good. And when it's dead, physically, you have no right to be here no more. But you're still alive. You just don't have a right to be here anymore because your mind ain't dead, because your spirit lives, but your body is dead because your brain controls your body. Does that make sense, guys? Please tell me if it doesn't, because I want to break it down more. Am I confusing anybody? Yeah. Please be dropping their wisdom on y'all, boy. Yeah. You're right, son. It is. It is. So again, just in case you didn't hear him, your brain can be seen, but your mind cannot. Your mind cannot. Now, I want you to get this because this mind thing is very important. Paul says renew it. That means it can easily become cluttered, contaminated, and stagnated. Does it make sense? So I got to renew this thing. And let me tell you why. My brain only perceives when I'm intentional about what it's perceiving. But my mind is absorbing all day long. Did you catch that? So I got to be careful. When I'm coming in contact with you, you could be contaminating my mind even if I turn you off up here. Make sense? Because I decide whether or not I want to take your information up here. But many times I think I have withdrawn from your information up here, but I forgot it's getting in here. Got it? Stay with me. The reason it's important is because the brain, though it has different compartments, it's still not as complex as the mind. Because the mind houses the heart. Not this. Now, what's interesting is this feels like this when it's broken. So when you say somebody broke my heart, you're actually talking about somebody disturbed your spirit, your mind. But it literally feels like a heartache. It does. And that's because the emotions that's connected to it are so complex until it overwhelms you. Stay with me. So the heart we refer to is the immaterial part, again, as Phoenix says, that you can't see. But the heart is the center of emotions and thought and reasoning. And it's compartmentalized in the mind. You see how deep this is? But guess what else is in the mind? Right in there somewhere where you still can't figure it out. Now Freud, one of the co-fathers of psychoanalysis, says that there is the super ID and all of this, but I won't go into all of that. I'll keep it very elementary, just from a spiritual perspective. But the one thing that's important for you to understand is the ego is somewhere up there too. And the ego can be best defined as your anatomical selfie shot. It's the picture you take of yourself. The problem with that is you're going to always take it with the filter on. You know how some of y'all be looking skinny on Facebook? I'd be like, I just saw her. She must took that shot. Okay. Listen. So you gonna always take it. Some of y'all been using the filter. Lord, I see how you're looking. You're gonna always take it with the filter on. What that means is my ego is too fragile for me to see the real me. Ladies, I can only use you as an example. I don't mean no harm. That's why you'll gain 30 pounds and be in the mirror telling me, I gotta stop using this washing powder. Because vanity is a part of your humanity. Which is why you need to be told you look good, told you're beautiful and so forth. And you need that. You know, that's why you post pictures of yourself every week. Cute or whatever. And be lying. I'm all on there for my family. I just be on there to see how my family. Quit lying. You want folk to see you. And it's okay. Because it's a part of your makeup. Am I helping anybody? But the problem is this, Kimberly. Whenever I rely solely on my ego, and I don't have real people around me to check me, I start to lie to me and I walk in that lie. So I need people around me to say, that ain't what you really look like. You got to work on this. But now here's the tricky part. I have to humble myself enough to be able to hear you without getting upset with you, thinking you hating on me. Because sometimes what hurts me ain't hating me, it's loving me. Does that make sense? And so now here comes another complex part. Now you got to deal with the will and you got to deal with the emotions. Because that will is the part of you that connects with God, that makes a decision whether to walk with him or walk against him. And that will is so intertwined with your spirit, man, that it gives fuel and license to it. You see how Paul said, good and acceptable and perfect will of God? I do the will of God through my will. You got it? But the problem is my will infuses the decisions that I make through my spirit. And my spirit is listening to the voice of the Holy Spirit, who's always talking. But the reason his voice becomes more and more silent is not because he's talking lower. He's talking as loud as he's always talked, but it's because my will has gone against his will so much until I've built a sense of callousness to God's will. And now what used to be, do not do that, is now, don't do it. And it gives me license to start reasoning with it to determine whether or not I should or I shouldn't. And ultimately, when I keep on, my conscience becomes seared with an iron. And if anybody come from the old school using flour and water on your Levi's, you go to school smelling like burnt bread, baby. Because the iron has seared it. Do you get this concept? And so now you are literally out of place because you can't hear anymore, because there is a callousness that's been developed. I don't know why I went here, but here is, she said, me neither. Here, but I hope I'm helping somebody. So now when my ego's out of whack, my will is resistant to his will, my mind is not renewed. What's the last compartment of it, guys? Mind, ego, will, what? Oh, now you see why you're an emotional mess? Because I'm always wrestling with him about will. Nobody can check me. And I don't do what's necessary to renew this mind by the word of God through prayer and through worship consistently. Now I know why I'm always crying. I'm always one day one way, another day the next. Does that make sense? Y'all quiet because it makes sense? Okay. All right. So here's what we got to do, and I'm done. Write this down. Number one, in realigning the culture, the realignment starts with me. Ain't church, is me. Church ain't changed, it's me. Because I changed the church. So here's what I want you to consider. Anytime the church changes, I want you to preach to you. And say, you got to get better because I don't feel them no more in here. You got to get better because this don't feel like home no more. But instead of doing that, guys, let's be honest. What do? Say it again. We stop coming. We find another home. And you take contamination over there instead of diagnosing the contamination. So diagnose the drift. Write this question down. Where have I drifted from grace in my grind? Where have I drifted from grace in my grind? In other words, am I just working now, being a Martha, but I don't have worship as a Mary? Then number two, match behavior to belief. Match behavior to belief. And I want you to write this down. Again, match behavior to belief. Write this down. What you permit will ultimately become policy. What you permit. In other words, if you see yourself drifting, but you don't check it, it'll become a way of life for you. What you permit will ultimately become policy. Last one, I'm done. Recognize burnout. Recognize burnout. And burnout doesn't always come with burn marks. Write this down. Exhaustion doesn't always look like quitting. Sometimes it looks like serving without joy. When I no longer feel good about doing this, when this is no longer fun to me, when I don't look forward to showing up, I'm either burnt out or I am burning. You can look at it in your fatigue, your short-temperedness, your joylessness, how you withdraw from everybody. But here is one of the ones, guys, that we overlook many times, your cynicism. You criticize everything and everybody now. You have nothing positive to say about anybody. And family, you can't lead others until you correct yourself. I am done. Here is what I need you to do now. Take these particular principles and then take what you've written about yourself for the reset. And I need that to become your homework, to let it become a mirror, to look at yourself and see where you are. And I'm going to ask the same question that Jesus asked. I talked about this on last night. Pastor Jay, there's a multitude of men in the same dysfunctional system waiting for the moving of the water. And if you look at it, every man in the text had a bigger problem than the main character of the text. He was the only one that didn't have a physical ailment, but he was the only one that Jesus challenged. Isn't that something? He let the blind dude, the lame dude, the withered dude stay at the water. But the one who could walk, but stopped walking, he asked him, do you want to walk again? Because he was not in to magnifying problems. He was in to maximizing potential. And that's what you have. You've got potential. The question is, what are you willing to do with it? Are you going to get any better? Any questions, comments, or concerns? Anybody? Go ahead, son. Can somebody give him the mic, please?
If I have a question, when you say a person get burned out or they're overexhausted, how do a person get exhausted or over burned out if they putting in the work to want to do it versus them just accepting it and saying, hey, I'm doing it because somebody else or eyes to be looked off?
I need to understand your question. So how do you get burned out or how do you get over burnout?
Yes, how do you get over burned out or exhausted if you wanting to do the job versus just doing it for just to be doing it?
Sometimes, and guys, please don't use this as an exhaustible answer because I don't know your personal situation. We're going to apply it, this generalized. The Elijah principle comes to mind. The Bible says in 1 Kings chapter 19, when he was burnt out, that God told him to take a seat and step back. And sometimes you need some repo. You need an opportunity to step back from what you're doing and reflect and find out what led you to this particular point. And many times your enemy will look like your assignment, but your enemy is not your assignment. The enemy is your adversary. And many times your assignment can turn adversarial if you don't know how to step back from it at times. Take a reflective look at yourself, recalibrate, and then come back and put your hands. And so I would say to you, recalibrate, reset, and sometimes that means taking repose and resting for a while. Definitely. Make sense? Again, guys, I don't know, because I know y'all. I'll be getting text and email. I'm, you know, the Lord says it's time for me to take some rest and take a repose. No. I sabbatical. I just need to go some sabbatical. No. Anybody else? Anybody else? True story. True story. Let me tell you the truth. You gotta be careful on what you say to me. Really, really. But remember, ministry shouldn't cost you your mental. Ministry shouldn't cost you your marriage. Ministry shouldn't cost you your financial stability or your money. Does that make sense? But it doesn't have to cost you that if you know how to balance. Sometimes we put everything into this because we're running from home or we're running from ourselves, as opposed to doing what's necessary to build something outside of it. Which is why some of y'all are literally so territorial because all you have is your title. And your title is your identity. That's where you find your level of acceptance and authority. Asked somebody the other day, who are you? I'm Bishop so-and-so. No, bro. Who are you? I'm a child of God. No, who are you? And if you can't answer that without label, then you have an identity crisis going. Does that make sense? Okay. So true story. True story. I was ministering on one of the IFOC Zoom. I'm so glad this is long ago because most of y'all won't know what I'm talking about. And I ministered about being true to yourself. And I used the Shakespearean concept, to thine own self, be true. And how you have to be able to be transparent with you before you'll be able to project the type of transparency to others that's needed for them to follow you. A pastor took that and the next day went to his pulpit and told everybody he a homosexual. He did. He said, I'm a gay pastor who loves Jesus. And yesterday I got my deliverance. I helped him, yeah. True story. True story, guys, true story. Which is why I put disclaimers out now. Because y'all ain't gonna be going home, leaving spouses and quitting jobs and leaving the church because I said what I said. No. That may not apply to your situation. Anybody else, guys? Anybody else? Anybody else? This must have been good today because y'all so quiet. Lord have mercy.
Okay, my question is, I feel like it's complex. It's a question. I'm trying to make sure I ask it right. So, in my leadership and in leadership, what advice would you give when you get to that place where you know your why and you're committed to your why, and however the system does work, but the trying to make sure, because it's not a system issue, but it's a whether how do you manage or balance when everybody may not, you don't know if they don't want to, but it's just not coming together. It's not being how it's supposed to be.
Gotcha.
And I want your advice on that, like something that's like legit, like not like you wouldn't give legit, but I know that we've said, oh, you be the change, you model it, but you have prayed and you see that it may be deeper than that, because it's not just about follow your assignment or do what you're supposed to do. But I think that when you know what you're supposed to do and you've been doing it, some things is not for your leader to do. It's a personal thing. So what is the leader supposed to do?
So the first thing I would say to you, and again, this is going to sound like I'm circumventing, coming back to the same thing what you said about being changed, but to some degree that still is true, is you got to find your blindness. Because what's happening is you're becoming distracted by what the other people are doing. And to some degree, the leader has to be concerned with what others are doing, because that's a part of the accountability piece of leadership. But if you become so distracted by that until it literally disturbs your peace, where you can't lead in peace anymore, now you've become a part of the contamination too. So one thing I used to tease my daughter Liz about, because when I first started off, I put her over new members orientation, and when nobody show up. And then finally she had one. And so I made a song called One, Oh, One. And I would just tease her all the time. But that was my way of pushing her to remain consistent. And because she didn't quit, and because her frustration didn't lead her to apathy, one turned into many. And so I'm saying this to you. You say it's not a systematic problem. It very well could be a systemic problem to some degree, because my leadership is plugged into a bigger system. And I have to know how to model what I'm expecting. Now, you may say, well, Bishop, I'm giving all of that. They just still ain't getting it. Well, the truth be told, sometimes it's not me not doing those particular things, but what am I not doing as a leader? Now, by your own admission, you said you got a problem being on time. By your own admission, you said you got a problem being consistent. And so the reality is, can you really say, I prayed about it and that ain't the issue? Well, have you prayed consistently about it? Who puts the time limit on prayer? Have you long suffered with them? Who puts the time limit on long suffering? And I'm speaking objectively because, again, I don't know the particulars, but what I'm trying to get you to do is look at it from a different perspective. Because we are quick leaders, all of us, to say, listen, that's it. I've given you a chance. I'm not doing it anymore. But what if God did us that way? Think about it. What if he said, that's enough, I'm just sick of you? None of us would have a chance. But we have a tendency to get frustrated. Now, here's another side of your question. Is it a time when you realize people are out of place? Yes. And you got to know how to help them change careers without killing them, just by simply letting them know and talking to them and say, do you really feel joy in doing this? And if you can get transparent enough with them by showing them you care about them, sometimes they'll be real with you and say, no, I really don't like doing this at all. And somebody who's doing something outside of the premise of joy and purpose can contaminate your entire team. And you may have to just redirect them. But then they may be purposed to do it. They just don't know how to do it because they got inner conflicts with themselves. These are the persons that you push, that you act like a Deshalia with, that you don't give up on when she don't want to be no elder, when she don't want to be great, but you see greatness in her and you don't let her settle for mediocrity, and you labor with her and you push her, and then she's preaching like she did Sunday. Did I answer it? Anybody else? Anybody else? All right, Jackson.
Can we put our hands together for Bishop Mason? Come on, you can do better than that. That was a master class. And we thank God